Hey everybody, time for another chess game today. Game number 9 coming up. Yesterday I made a video for game number 8 and I had a user named Sarkiness that was nice enough to make a video response to it. So I posted about it in my blog and I also, with a link, and I also replied to it on chessvideos.tv. So check that out if you watched yesterday's game and were interested in it at all. Watch that video. It was very well done and covered some key things that definitely things that I need to work on and things I need to think about, as well as a few things that I did well. Alright, so today again we are doing 20 minutes. So Seek is entered. Rating graph is up. I've changed the aspect ratio so it should be a little bit friendlier on chessvideos.tv. Go away, dog. I don't want my dog staring at me the whole game here. Okay, or just be there and I'll pet you. So we'll play here as soon as the game starts. Yeah. My doggy is grunting. Alright, Tim something. Tim Calm Tim. Ready to do it, man. 12:03. We'll take our time and see if we can make all the right moves today. Alright, I like to play the Scotch opening. So if he plays knight c6, then I'm going to play d4. And the idea there is to open it up in the center, play kind of an open game. Now, I've seen this before. I think this is called the Greco defense or something like that. Yesterday's game, the opening went by and I missed half the time. I missed the fact that the e4 pawn was hanging in the opening and I never even considered taking it. So I'm going to slow down in the opening today and make sure I don't do something stupid like that. Now I know this is a somewhat viable opening that I don't think scores very well, but it doesn't just, drop anything or anything like that. So, I mean, I'm considering just still d4 since he's defending twice, or attacking twice, but I'm defending twice. So, I mean, it could potentially go d4, pawn takes, knight takes, and then he can't retake with the queen. So, what about thing? Well, yeah, let's go ahead and do d4. I want to get my dark square bishop out fairly soon. I need to look at this line. I've been meaning to. I had it played against me not too long ago and had no idea what to do. Alright, just simply here, he pretty much needs to take. He could play d6, I think, but right now his e4, e5 pawn is hanging. Alright, d6. Works fine for me. Alright, here, bishop g5 makes some sense. Start developing my pieces with tempo. I don't have anything hanging. His dark square bishop is already worse than either of my bishops. So why not bishop g5 here? Excuse me. Noticed on my last couple of videos I cleared my throat a lot, and it was sort of distracting to me, and I try not to do that as much. So there's some allergies and things like that going on. Alright, here we could play d5. The e5 pawn's defended twice, so that doesn't help us any. There's no way to play bishop c4 yet, but it'd be nice if I could. So rather than developing the light square bishop somewhere now, would it be smart to do something like knight bd2? Knight bd2 preparing bishop c4, and then both of my bishops are very active. Blocks a little bit of my defense of d4, so it's iffy. It's not just an immediate yes, I'm doing that. Same with d5, it's not an immediate yes, I'm doing that. But I tend to like d5 here. Grabbing space in the middle, making a little hole on d4 for the future for him. But, with the c-pawn back, it's still fine. So I may not be in a rush to play c4 if I play d5 here. So once again, we're just grabbing space with tempo here. And that seems like a good idea. So we'll do it. I'm anxious to see after this if the video aspect ratio on chessvideos.tv is better. And you can see the problem with bringing the queen out so soon is he's just getting chased around while I develop my pieces. I have been... Where does my light square bishop belong? I have been developing poorly lately. I've been almost completing my development and then starting something like an attack. I think I'm going to go bishop d3. So when he plays f6, which I'm 99% sure he's going to do just based on what would annoy me. Well, you know what? There isn't really a reason why I can't just leave that there. If he plays f6, I can come back anywhere along here. That's fine. But there's no attack on e4. I just like to be solid. Knight c3 is in the way of the c-pawn a little bit, which, now that I played d5, is a little bit more important. I think I'm just going to play bishop d3. It's a move I like to play anyway. When I have this central configuration with an advanced d-pawn or an advanced e-pawn supporting the base of it with, and if I have c4, then I have two bases to support with that bishop. It's just something that seems to be comfortable for me, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Doesn't mean it's necessarily right now. I'm really starting to like knight bd2, but castling right now is probably number one. I can't help but think that he's doing that to keep my bishop off of this diagonal. But there's no threat of that anyway because of c6, though it could get annoying, I suppose. Right. So what we've reached here is a position where I think I have an advantage. I want to make sure I get all my pieces active, and that includes, this is what I was talking about earlier, both rooks and my queen before I start anything serious. See, I was thinking he might do b5 here. Does it affect me at all? What if I play c4 here? c4 takes, and then whatever. c4 push, and he can support with a5 before I can really guard it, or attack it. It makes knight c3 even a little bit more uncomfortable. Knight d2, knight bd2 is really what I'm looking hard at now. So again, knight bd2, and c3 might keep knights out of there. That might be where what I eventually want to do. And then this bishop might wind up on e3 with some scope. So plans that he could develop with are bishop b7. Since his queen has already moved around several times, it's just a pain to move it again. Both of his bishops are sort of restricted here. He's not going to have a lot of scope here. This bishop is not going to have a lot of scope. If he develops to e7, though, I'm probably going to bring it back to e3 because I don't want to trade that piece. Wondering about things like b4 and c4 both. And then maybe supporting with a3 later. I need to find the right plans here. So like I said earlier, he can support that with a5 before I can attack it. But is it something where I need to really concern myself and say, okay, I need to stop something here? In other words, do I care about b3, where I just take it with the knight? So no. Would a3 stop it in its tracks? a3, if he takes, then I take with the rook, and my rook has some activity. That dark square bishop on f8 can't get to it. If doesn't take, then I take, And then I can really shore things up over here with c3. And that seems to be a way to kind of clamp down on the queen side. So let's look at a3. I think I like what happens if I play a3. Well, wait. a3, a5, take. He can't because he's pinned. So let's go a3. I like that. And it's a mistake to play a5 here because his rook is pinned because of his lack of development. And I have some things like queen e2 if that pawn moves. We're back on this diagonal again that I had guessed earlier. Oh no, I didn't consider that, but is it something where I can just take? No, that's a bummer. I wonder if I shouldn't take on b4 first. Okay, so this square is going to be weak. Knight c4 looks like something I'm going to definitely like. If I go... Oh man, there's a lot of things going on here. If I go takes and takes, I do have an open file. Half open file. It's not good enough to do anything with yet. What about simply knight b3 right now? Doesn't seem to do much. I think I'm going to have to take on b4 here. And I think his pieces are still restricted a lot. I don't think he's gained any real advantages. And this is a lot better than losing my center. This fragmented pawn structure over here is something I can attack. And again, he still can't play... Well, he can, can't he? c3 now, and he's got the same problem he had with a3, and no way to reinforce it. So c3 takes, and I'm much better on the queen side at that point. c3 push takes is nothing. c3 reinforces doesn't work because it takes, and then his pawn is pinned. c3 ignores, and I take, and I'll have some trouble defending b4 likely. But I could potentially push it to b5, couldn't I? Where it might be a little easier. I'm not sure. This is some weird stuff on the queen side that I don't really know how to handle. He has absolutely no development, so this is... Opening things up over here is only going to favor me, I think. Oh, you know what I've got right now? Why didn't I look earlier? Yeah, I need to do this first, but bishop b5 is in the air. Right now, bishop b5. Well, no, it's not, because it's not protected. You can just take it with the queen, in other words. You can't take it with the a-pawn because of the rook. So something like queen e2. I like that better than queen b3. Maybe not, though. Alright, my pacing. That whole sequence reminds me of the pacing discussion I had yesterday, where I move too quickly in some situations. I need to pause and assess before every single move, even if I pre-calculated, which is not something I'm used to doing. Blitz gets in the way of that. That's a very good point, and something I need to work on. So, it looks like my play is mostly going to be on the queen side, unless there's something that opens up in the h5, e8 diagonal. But I'm doubting that at this point. I have very superior development on the queen side, so I need to look for tactics over there. I see the b5 square as being important right now, and he'll probably deal with that. If he does not, unfortunately, it still takes me 2 moves to get a piece to b5. successfully. I mean, even queen b1 is interesting. Queen b1, queen e2, queen b3, all giving support to that b5 square, which is something that's not likely to be there for long, so I need to stop focusing on it. But I do need to have it in mind in case he doesn't deal with the threat, and he didn't. But there's that diagonal. Man, look at that diagonal I was telling you about. Alright, time to look at that for serious here. Knight takes g5, takes queen h5, king moves, and bishop takes g5. Whoo, is that check? No, it's not checkmate because the knight. Knight interposes. Okay, so we have serious threats over here. Knight g5, I'm going to take about 4 minutes here probably, so don't be surprised if I'm slow. Knight g5 takes queen h5. This is... oh no, he can go here, can't he? Takes, so it would be bishop here, and then he could throw that bishop in front, and I'm just down a piece. So nothing yet, but boy is it close. I don't have any place to put my knight. If I play knight e1, it gives him a tempo to do something. What about knight takes in the center, attacking the queen also? Knight takes, and say here, then queen takes, and we have the same problems over here. Although, look at bishop this way. I didn't look at that, did I? But he's interposing, isn't he? It doesn't matter. Alright, knight takes, pawn takes, queen h5. The king can go here or here. If he goes here, bishop takes, he interposes. So if he goes here, bishop here, and the queen has to jump in front, so I win the queen. If he goes here, bishop here, knight in the way, and what? And what? That's where I run out of room, or that's when I run out of ammo. Knight take, or bishop takes, king here, and I just think I might be out of real threats. Queen's on h5, king's here, almost everything else is gone. The bishop's still there, so there's no h6. Queen, no, because the queen's guarding it. So I don't think that quite works, but man is it close. I want to do it anyway. I can't do that. Alright, so what am I doing instead? What about rerouting the knight over here in case he does guard that? Knight e1, is there anything positive for that? So this comes with a threat. Knight e1, knight c2, knight b4, rerouting over here is okay. Attacking a6. Plus it gets out of the way for possibly f4. So this is interesting. Okay, so he guarded that. Let's continue with our plan over here. Or should I break apart this stuff with h4? h4 takes... If we go queen here, he takes and takes. I'm rerouting this knight. I'm going to go ahead and do that. If I can route the knight to here, knight takes here is probably good for me, and this a pawn. And of course, putting a third attacker on it on b4 is good too. If he plays a5, I think that's also good for me. So once again, I don't really know what I'm doing. Let's see. I think I've got a strong position. Am I worried about h3? Am I worried about h3? I don't think I'm worried about h3. h3, g4, what? Or what about ignoring g4? My goodness. Starting to gain some momentum over here. Have I messed this up? If I play f3 here, I at least stop g4. So f3, h3, and then I can push with g3. So that's what I'm going to do. I wish I'd sacked on g5 now. Been more fun than this. But I should just be able to lock this up and proceed from there. I might lock it up with g4, and then I can proceed with my queenside plans. This looks silly. I need to do better than this in development. So he's just one move attacking my pawn. I was planning to play c4 anyway. That gets in the way of that knight, or that, what is that, a bishop. I have b5 in the air here in order to get rid of that bishop. But I think that only helps him kind of straighten out his queenside pieces. So, what is best here? Rook a3 with the possibility of queen a1. You can't really pile up on that piece, so I think rook a3 is just fine here. It's also defended by the knight. A knight I don't plan to leave there. Now where's he going? Here? Clearly not here. Clearly not here. So here, I'm not sure. Maybe he's trying to castle, and he's just doing whatever he can to do it. Boy, if I had that diagonal again, I'd be in business. I'm not opening that up again right now. Alright, so I really think I need to get queen and rook active. So I want all my pieces active. I don't know how to do that. I'm going to play this. So maybe I can outpost my bishop up here on a really annoying square for him. That's going to cause some problems, I think. going to start to see some discomfort up here soon, I hope. That's the goal. Alright, I think I just ignore that. And I'm probably going to play bishop e2 to guard it. So if he takes, then bishop e2 can take on bishop f3 and keep that knight out. Is there anything else opened up by that? Not that I see. Is there any benefit to taking the knight right now with my good bishop? I don't think there is. Do I need to deal with that before I deal with this, though? What about bishop b6? If I don't do that now, do I lose the chance? Bishop b6, and he can just go here. So it's not all that great. Now let's go ahead and play what I was going to play. Bishop b6, and supported by the knight at c4. And now we're looking at maybe getting into the queen side a little bit more and getting the pieces to be a little bit more active and working together, supporting each other, controlling some squares. If I can get yeah. I didn't do my 1-2 there, did I, TJ? I do have this diagonal, so I like that. Really? I didn't think you'd want to do that. I didn't think you'd want to do that. I'm going to get this guy out of the way with bishop b6. I'm going to consider taking that piece off. And he's going to start having some problems with the f-file, I think, as well. So if queen b7, I might like rook b3 better than knight c4. Though I like both. Hmm. So the queen's undefended there if I take that knight. But that queen's on the wrong color square. And I can't check it to get it on the right color square easily. Alright. I'm going to go rook b3. Knight c4 is coming. Bishop takes is a real strong possibility. There's nothing I can really do with this discovered attack on the queen yet. I think it's definitely getting hairy though for him. Alright, so isn't that just a free pawn at minimum? It's just a free pawn, I think. If I play bishop a5, where does he go? Bishop a5, this file is gone. Not real smart to move onto this file, though he could. And if he comes across here, he's going to have to get at least this far, and he can come over here, and there aren't really many things he can do over here that I can see. So just win a pawn. Alright. There's no check along this diagonal because of bishop takes.
Check.
There's a check there. You kidding me, missing that? Didn't consider it, but it's okay. Didn't consider it, but it's okay. That's something I'll need to do better at. Alright, so is this anything we need to worry about? It shouldn't be, because I can just take it off and then have a rook there. This isn't quite as good for me as it was. Okay, he didn't do it anyway. So are we starting to get into trapped queen territory at all? Or any other tactics? Knight c4 is out now. Rook a3 is interesting. It could put the queen right back in the... Yeah, there's some spots in there he can slip into that are annoying. Particularly don't like queen d3. Queen d3 is kind of annoying. So I'm not going to allow queen d3. Ways to stop queen d3. Am I jumping at a threat that I don't need to jump at, first of all? I need to think about that, don't I? Just c4 defends that, stops that. It gives me a little bit more flexibility in the future as well, although it takes away knight c4, which I liked earlier. Alright, let's say he's got a queen on d3. Yeah, I just don't like it. I mean, it's just... This knight in particular seems to be somewhat uncomfortable there. Yeah, in fact, he's very uncomfortable. I can't allow that. I've got to stop that. So here we go. This guy's coming off soon, and then this pawn's gone. I mean, I hadn't forgotten about that. I think that's the real threat right now is bishop takes knight. And he may just play bishop g7, bishop e7, something like that. Both of which will help stop my infiltration on the f-file. If bishop g7, then c5 becomes a possibility. If bishop e7, not as much. Still really want to get my pieces better than they are. Say he doesn't make a move here. If bishop takes g4... Alright, bishop takes g4. I've got to do that now. I don't want him getting these pieces lined out. I'm going to jump on it while it's there. Bishop g4, he can't come into f3 after he retakes. He can't really come to e2. There's not going to be a rook there for one, so it doesn't do a lot. So as long as I keep his queen out on that side, I think I'm in good shape. So pause and then take, right? And he's going to have a hard time defending. All right, what am I missing? Anything? Man, my queen is just not active. It's defensive right now, and it's just kind of irritating. But I'm probably coming in on the f-file here. If he plays bishop e2, then I might pull the bishop or the rook back to f2. So I think I'm okay. Of course, if he does that, then I wonder about rook e6 here. Or we could start to get really hairy, couldn't we? One thing I can keep an eye on is my back rank mate possibilities. Coming down here on a1, I need to really keep an eye on that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. I don't know what to do. If I can attack that pawn one more time with bishop c7, am I in good shape? Possibly. Right, this was the move I looked at. Possibly here. Rook check. He needs to go here or here. And it's very, very possible that it's a good idea for me to throw that rook check in first. I don't know if it's probable, but it's possible. I want to keep him in the center, so maybe I should do that. It's not going to hurt anything, because he can't attack it from there unless he brings his rook back or his bishop back here, but that's going to be after the damage is done. I think it could be a mistake to interpose the bishop. We're about to find out.
Check.
Alright, I can always just play rook b4 here. Get bug. Ugh. These little gnat things on my monitor. There's like one living under my laptop or something that just pops up. I can't ever catch it. Alright, so let's take stock here. He has two bishops. The center's closed, so my knights should be better. I don't think this is a positional struggle anymore, actually, so these things may not be key. However, his king is in the center. It's going to stay in the center, I'm pretty sure. This piece right here can be defended with knight a3, rook b4, or it can just be moved, but I don't want to connect these two pieces on that diagonal, really. Alright. So that's something. I wonder about bishop g5 now, trapping the rook. I might need to go ahead and play bishop c7 here in order to provide that. That's not going to be an escape square because of the queen. Eek! I didn't mess up here, did I? Okay, what I need to do is play queen e1, and so I can get here. Yeah, that's what I got to do, is play queen e1. Is there any other way I can stop the bishop from coming back here? Because that was a mistake. Because now I don't have any place to move my rook. Alright, here we go. Yeah, I think this is fine though. Bishop g5, queen f2, or even queen f1. If he does this, I take, and then I think I'm a little scared. I mean, if I can get my rook up here, he's gone. So even if he takes here, I think I just check, and then it's going to be mate before he can do anything about it. I've definitely made a mess of this game. I'm honestly not sure he can stop queen f2 right now. That's my, I think that's the winning move, is queen f2. And I mean, it's going to win the bishop minimum if he keeps the bishop there. So he's going to have to move the bishop. I think bishop g5 is probably what he needs to do. Bishop g5, queen f2. There's nothing he can interpose, so it's going to have to go here. At which point I can play queen f6. Yeah. Alright. Pause for effect, right? And then I should be mating. I hope I'm mating here. Let's see if we are. Here we go.
Check.
Alright. G8. Now rook to G6. Should do it.
Check.
We have the surprising move. If bishop G7, then we might have the surprising move queen F6. Right, now does queen F6 win? Because I think it does. Queen F6, how does he stop this? Maybe with that, but then we have yep, queen D8. So is there any other way to do it? Alright, so how about queen B7? Does that hold the fort a little bit? Queen B7, queen E6. I mean, I'm at least okay there, but let's see what he finds. Queen B7.
Check.
Okay. That should stop that, right? Stop. Okay, don't move so fast. I made sure to leave that guarded, so that wasn't an accident. I had looked at that earlier. I think that was a lash out, though. I think he's desperate. Alright, so here we have Queen D8. We have Queen E6. Those are both forcing moves. Queen D8 seems to be forcing King F7. Queen D8, King F7. So at the very least, we win the queen now.
Check.
We also have, please get out. That attacks the rook, so if I can defend both the rook and the and check him at the same time, that'd be great, but I don't know if I can do that. D7 square is guarded. This square is not protected. Alright, so liquidating with rook takes, rook takes, rook takes. Rook takes this check, but I can take it, and then this knight is probably sunk, and I think I have an easily winning advantage. So minimum, that's what I can do. And I need to be very careful to make sure I get at least that. Queen here loses the rook for nothing. Rook almost anywhere else allows him to save the queen. So at this point, takes, 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 and I think we're good.
Check.
Because he's not going to be able to defend both that knight and that bishop at the same time. He's going to have two pieces hanging at the end of all of
Check.
this. And then I'm up a full queen also. If we could try something desperate with rook g3, I didn't look at that. I mean, obviously takes is fine, but yeah, it's fine. Ah, interesting. Still same problem though.
Check.
He's just got too many things hanging in the air now. Is the knight lost anyway? No, because he can get out right there. So, takes is a nice little bonus move.
Check.
Keeps all the same threats. he's done the same thing. All the same threats. Another pawn off the board. Oh, well,
Check.
no longer is the bishop under attack, so that's a fair point. But I'm still winning that, or I'm sorry, the knight. I'm still winning this bishop. And there's nothing he can do about it. All right. And that should be the game. Mopping this up will be no big deal. I got more than 4 minutes on the clock with a 20-second increment, so shouldn't be a big deal here. All right, let's separate these guys.
Check.
Get rid of his last piece besides the rook. Nothing wrong with that. I think bishop c5 is mate right now. Okay. Well, I got through that, but it was not pleasant in the middle game, and I feel like I might have gotten lucky. Let's make sure that I say thanks for the game. Thanks for the game, and I always say good luck so they know that I mean it sincerely. And hopefully he takes it the right way. All right, so a little bit of a break playing a 1200 there, and I'm sure I got away with some things that otherwise I might not have. But I'll be interested in going back and seeing if I was good the whole time or if I'd hung some things, because I feel like I didn't play very well. But, you know, that's a pleasant thing to look at the end of the game, so maybe it wasn't so bad after all. All right.